The UN has already authorized a no-fly zone, but there's still a major question on Capitol Hill about authorizing the use of force by our military. Chief political correspondent Carl Kerman is live in Washington with this story. So, Carl, we mentioned this meeting at the White House, a bipartisan meeting coming up in about a half an hour. What should we expect?
Well, the bipartisan leadership, both the House and Senate, will be there, as well as key members, both Republicans and Democrats, from a whole select number of relevant committees, intelligence, armed services, etc. For lawmakers, there's some real imperatives in terms of protecting their co-equal branch of government. The Constitution gives Congress power over funding of any government operation. That, of course, includes military operations. Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution specifically empowers Congress to declare war, though it does not give any specific recommendations as to how, whether that's an act of war or a resolution. The 1973 War Powers Act is what requires any president to consult and report to Congress before involving the U.S. in any overseas hostilities. So those are the things that lawmakers want to make sure that the Obama administration remembers. There is some concern that the president allowed the UN, the United Nations Security Council, to go forward, and that this no-fly zone resolution was passed without first going to Congress. A memo that's circulating on Capitol Hill right now notes that as a candidate back in 2007, Mr. Obama told the Boston Globe, quote, "The president does not have power under the Constitution to unilaterally authorize a military attack in a situation that does not involve stopping an actual or imminent threat to the nation, the United States." So there will be several members of Congress who will go down there from both parties and tell the president that they have to be allowed to pass a resolution of their own, and that Congress has to be involved in how U.S. involvement in Libya's civil war will play out. That said, few presidents in recent years have paid much attention to Congress. Most of them have gone forward with what they want, notwithstanding the War Powers Act of '73.
So how is the administration handling all these foreign policy developments? Robert Shrum was a senior advisor to the Gore 2000 presidential campaign and the Kerry Edwards campaign in 2004. He is now a professor at New York University. You say this may be the week where the president earns his presidency. Well, what do you mean?
Well, he has to earn it. I mean, he has to deal with the Saudis and make sure the flow of oil continues. He has to help the Japanese, and they did a brilliant job yesterday in terms of supporting the Japanese so that the yen doesn't get out of control and the flows can continue. And then Libya, you know, he took a lot of criticism for being too passive. And I think John Kerry was right, John McCain, from the beginning. We should have a no-fly zone. Do you think the United States, Britain, and France and the Arab League are going to lose this thing? No, I don't think that's going to happen at all. And by the way, this demand for Congress to be involved, I mean, Ronald Reagan went into Grenada. There was no imminent threat to the United States of America. There was an imminent threat to some American medical students there. I don't think that the president needs to go to Congress. I don't think he will go to Congress.
But, well, obviously you want Congress on board if you can get it.
I think he's got most of Congress on board, and I think there are some people who would oppose almost anything Barack Obama does. Libya has a lot of oil. If this guy holds power, if he takes back that country, he is going to be totally inimical to the United States. He's probably going to become a haven for terrorism. I think right now is the time that he needs to leave that country. He needs to get out, and I think Hillary Clinton set a pretty clear signal that that's the end game.
This meeting at the White House that's coming up in the next 20 minutes or so, we understand it, involves leaders from both parties, but also leaders of, you know, some of the key committees in Congress and so forth. Would you expect that there's going to be a great deal of partisan criticism, maybe even from the left, Democrats criticizing the president over this no-fly zone?
Well, that would be a terrible mistake for people on the left, because the fact is that unless you're a pacifist, there are occasions when you use force. This cries out as one of those occasions. I think John McCain will be with the president. John Kerry, who's the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, who pushed for this a long time ago at the very beginning, will certainly be with the president. I don't think there's going to be a lot of static.